Now that we have our pizza pie created, we're going to divide it into segments. First, I want you to make sure you have your stroke selected with a little bit of a golden color, maybe a little darker than our pizza pie crust. So you go over into your color right here, and the dropper tool will come out and it will create a darker selection over into the red a little bit. Then I want you to go over and select your line segment tool. When you get your line segment tool, I want you to go about the center where you see intersect, and I want you to click and hold and drag the line up beyond the pizza crust. And like now, if you select the R in your keyboard, it will automatically select the rotation tool, or you can go up to the rotation tool. And then go on over to your pizza, and right on the anchor, you're going to select the Option or Alt key here, and the box comes up. And in the box, we're going to put in there 360. And then we want to have 8 different slices of pizza. So you're going to go by 8, and then we're going to select Copy. And remember when we did the pepperoni, how we went around the pizza pie by selecting Command and D. Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. And now we have our 8 sections of our pizza selection. Now that I have my shapes created, you can see that if I click on each individual line and drag them in with my mouse, I can make them match up to the pizza shape. So go ahead and do that and drag them in so they all match up to the pizza shape. And then you can see how you now have slices divided evenly in your pizza pie. In the next section, we're going to go ahead and do is create our tablecloth. The next step is for us to create a tablecloth. So what I'm going to do is create a perfect square. I like this pink color. Remember to select a color. You just click on your colors palette and then you select a color. So we're going to start with this pink color. And then I am going to grab my rectangle tool, and remember with the shift key, I select the shift key and I draw my square. So I'm going to draw my square, and do not let go before you have your square drawn. Let go together, and I have my perfect square. I'm going to go up to my selection tool, hit the Option key, and drag out another square right to the end. And then we're going to end up with 4 little ones, you'll see. And then again, I want to select my Option key and hit down with my mouse. Selecting my mouse and the Option at the same time, and I'm dragging again. So now we have 4 squares together, and I'm going to change the color of them. I'm going to change this one to white, and you hit OK. And this one I'm going to make black, and go down in here and OK. And then this one I want to make a little bit red, darker red. So I'm going to go down here and we're going to make a nice deep red color and select OK. Now I have my squares, and I can see this one needs to go over a little. You want to make sure they're aligned up. Maybe this guy needs to move over. There we go. Okay, so now that I have them aligned, I'm going to select them all. I am going to go up to Object, and I'm going to group them. And then I'm going to open up over here my swatches panel. And I'm going to take the square and I'm going to click and drag them into my swatches panel. And you can see they show up right here. The next step is to apply this pattern we've created onto our white board back here. So to do that, I'm going to open up my layers. And I do want to create a new layer. And what I'm going to do is turn off the visibility on my pizza. So I will turn that off, and believe me, it's still there. So shut it off. And then I'm going to go over to my swatches, and I'm going to select this swatch right here. And then I'm going to grab my rectangle tool and put it up in the corner of my square and draw corner to corner. And now here I have my pattern, which has fallen right into place. So it looks great. And I'm going to now select my layers. And you can see here, if I turn on my visibility, my pizza is not showing up. But that's because it is underneath my tablecloth. So you can do one of two things. You can move your pizza on top or move your tablecloth below simply by clicking and dragging it up. And there we have it. I think what we need is a plate underneath our pizza pie. Draw a plate under this pizza pie. I'm going to need another layer. So you can see here I created a layer by going down to create a new layer. Select the layer up here, and I'm going to turn off the visibility on my, right here on, there we go, on my tablecloth. And I'm going to grab, make this down here, turn off my stroke, make the color white. I'm going to grab my ellipse tool and I'm going to hit the shift key and I'm going to draw the circle. Remember, hit the shift and drag. And again, I'm famous for not creating that perfect circle shape because I let them go at the same time. You create the perfect circle. If you don't, then you have your ellipse again. So I'm going to open up my layers and turn back on my, there we go. And I'm going to send this one behind the pizza. There. Now we have our plate behind our pizza. I'm going to move it over so it's a little bit more aligned. And the next thing I'm going to do is create a drop shadow on this plate. So with the plate selected, I'm going to go up to Effects, and I am going to go down to Stylize and select Drop Shadow. With the drop shadow, you can often preview what's going on just by selecting your preview button. And you can see when I do that, this shadow comes down underneath. When you do that, you can also see my opacity is on 75. If I darken the opacity, then the shadow becomes darker, as you can see, and more sharp. I do like the opacity a little lower. And then there's also a blur, and with the blur, what happens is it blurs the shadow or it becomes harder, and I do like it to be blurred. It looks a little softer, as you can see. So select your blur and select your opacity, and then the color is black, and we're going to select OK. And now we have our drop shadow underneath our plate. So you've really created a lot of different things. We've learned how to use a brush tool, a shape tool, a pattern tool. Practice making the little shapes and colors, and remember you can create this pattern in any color configuration that you would like. When you're finished with your Illustrator project, you can File, Save As, and then name it Pizza Pie. And this is going to be for me PIZZAPIE 2 because I've created two different ones and I'm saving it to my desktop, and this is the Illustrator file saved, and then select OK. Now, if you would like to save it as a PDF or a JPEG, you would say File, Export, and you can see Export As is what you would select, and you have the option of a PNG. If you use the drop down, you can save it as a JPEG as well. So I'm going to save mine as a JPEG so I can send it off to anybody so that they can see what I've created. They can see it as a JPEG, but unless they have Illustrator, they will not be able to see the Illustrator file that we just saved previously. And then I'm going to export it as a JPEG, select OK. And now you have your pizza pie created with sections. Congratulations!